Folks, the future of Dokkan is looking as bright as ever. With all of the changes that we've had over the years, the version Z update, the updated graphics, the animations, the mechanics, everything, Dokkan has continued to trend upwards with the promise of even more stuff coming up. With this most recent survey that dropped on JP, there are a couple of questions that instill some players with a lot of confidence moving forward, and I thought it would be a fun opportunity to talk about that in this video because some of them are things that you have probably been thinking about already. We've definitely had conversations in various comment sections or on live streams. I'm sure a lot of you, I would say maybe 90% of you have probably thought this. So let's start by talking about these two questions. The first of which, I don't know if people have talked about as much, but we'll talk about this one first. What do you want for skill orbs implemented in Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle? I want more chances to get them. I want them to be stronger. I'm satisfied with the way they are now. I want skill orbs with new functions such as increasing guard probability and increasing damage reduction rate. I think this is a fantastic idea. Giving skill orbs more various effects would allow for more unique customization builds and create more diversity among players in Dokkan. Because right now, the standard formula is give a unit a certain ability and then amplify that to the nth degree. If a unit has a whole bunch to gain from launching multiple supers, you go for full additional. If the unit has the potential to do lethal cataclysmic damage, you go full critical. If the unit is the best of both offensive capabilities, but the one thing that they're missing is defense, you give them dodge, right? And that's pretty much all that you do. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but now adding a new dimension into your customization will create for new types of characters that sort of fit in between the absolutes, right? The units that are full additional, full crit, full dodge can now be a hybrid of additional critical and then maybe some enhanced guard abilities. And I think enhanced guard probability is such a nice one because it allows you to then kind of correct some of the issues that have been introduced in some units' potential builds. Take, for example, Raccoon. Raccoon's EZA was one of those examples where when he first had his EZA announced, I was excited, but at the same time, I was a little bit bummed out by the fact that his guard ability is only at a 50% chance. I don't like that. Given the unit's entire passive is predicated on getting hit and receiving damage, you would ideally want to have some sort of a failsafe in here that will kind of protect you from potentially lethal damage. Having guard would have done that. Guard plus an ever-growing stat line would be a nice combination. Having this with some damage reduction would be a nice combination. Having a 50% chance to guard does open the door for some potential disaster, right? But of course, that is inherently the point of the character. It's not supposed to be a guarantee. It's supposed to be with some risk, which I understand. But having the ability to somewhat course correct and give the unit somewhat more of a dodge chance or a guard chance would then make this unit a little bit more consistent while still keeping that element of risk. So I think that that is a good idea to help players seemingly fix some of the flawed traits in certain units builds. So if they were to do something like this moving forward, I think that would be a great idea. Having a skill orb that gives you enhanced guard ability and having to sacrifice a level 5 additional would be a nice choice that players would have to deal with. More options, more choices. That's what makes a game better. One of the many things that makes a game better. So let me know in the comments how you feel about this. I think that this would be a great idea, but you know what? I want to hear from you. Now let's move on to the second question and probably the more important one for a lot of you guys, and that is the Extreme Z Awakening. The very concept of the Extreme Z Awakening has revolutionized Dokkan, making older units relevant once again. But as you all know, there is somewhat of a shelf life when it comes to these EZAs. When a unit receives an EZA, they're good, and then over time, they start to lose their value based on how they're built, or if a new unit completely usurps the previous one. So what do you want for EZAs being implemented in Dokkan? I want performance that strengthens the attractive parts of the character's characteristics. I think that basically just means making a unit even better at what it really is meant to do. I want the performance to compensate for the difficult to use parts of a character's characteristics. I think what this is referring to is if you have a certain ability on a character that is very hard to execute, the payoff should be justifiable. It should be worth it. So for example, the one that comes to mind for me is LR's stupid Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, right? That unit and that unfortunate active skill is one that everyone tends to clown on because it is not worth it, and also the condition is just so ridiculous. Having to have an Android 16 on the team when there isn't really a good one is very difficult, and if you were to do that and the unit transforms into Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, is it worth it? So I think that's what this is referring to. I'm not sure, but that's not really the point here. It's fine as is. No, it's not. I want characters who have been Extreme Z Awakened in the past to become even stronger. This, I would say that 90% of you all have thought about. For examples such as this. Super Saiyan 3 Broly. This unfortunate dude was dead on arrival when he received his EZA. And he was meant to usher in a new age of EZAs back in the day. The monotype EZAs. Man, I remember the excitement behind this, how much anticipation, only to be given this. Not the greatest way to start things off. This unit's EZA is terrible. This unit would be one of the ideal candidates to receive a secondary EZA. I was told recently, shout out to my boy Derek, one of the legendary tunes on the channel. He tweeted this out a couple of days ago, and I've been holding on to this for a little while, hoping to make a video on this at some point. This is the perfect opportunity to mention this, actually. In about 200 days, he posted this about a week ago, or possibly sooner with leaks data download, we are going to find out if Dokkan will do a double EZA. The reason why he says this is if you look at this, the 1000 day Goku is a unit that was given an LR EZA. First, he was made available after day 1000. So if you've been around since day 1, after 1000 days of playing this game and logging in, you were given the 1000 day Goku. On day 2000, you were given the medals to give this unit the EZA, which is why he's got the 25 out of 25 on the super attack level there. Now we are coming up on day 3000. And at that point, where do you go from here? Where do you go from the LR EZA 1000 day Goku? Do we then go to a brand new unit that is completely different? Or do we continue to upgrade the same 1000 plea Goku? That's the question, and we're going to be finding that out very, very soon. Could there potentially be a secondary EZA? This question makes me feel like it is possible. This unit could be among the first to potentially get that secondary EZA. Now, how would this work? I don't necessarily know how this is going to work in terms of what the actual EZAs are going to do. That's obviously a case-by-case thing. But in terms of actually solving the solution of making a unit relevant, because like if you were to give a secondary EZA to a unit, that's great. But then we would come back to the same exact problem in the future. Like for example, if we're looking at all of these older EZAs, if they were all to be given one event to become relevant once again, we will come right back here to the same problem in a couple of years once we go through all of these guys and they all receive their secondary EZAs. There has to be some sort of an update system that could allow for this to continually update moving forward. And this is where I thought of a pretty cool idea, but I'm also gonna give some credit to Maverick here, who also showed this similar graphic. I didn't make a graphic like this, but I was thinking exactly this. So what you're looking at here is a little Zenkai. This is like a Zenkai Roman numeral thing from Legends. Legends players, feel free to provide a little bit more insight. I'm not exactly sure how this works. I imagine the Zenkai Awakening is basically the Dokkan EZA system, but on Legends. But what you see here with this Roman numeral 7, that basically indicates the level that you've gone to in terms of your Zenkai Awakening. So if it's like Zenkai 1, Zenkai 2, Zenkai 3, they have differing levels of power. It's kind of like how we already have our EZAs, except for our EZAs, we don't go from level 1 to level 2. Ideally, most players just go from level 1 to level 7, right? So for all intents and purposes, that is considered one EZA. So what I'm basically thinking, and what Maverick also illustrates here, is moving forward, if every unit were to have an ability to receive up to 7 upgrades or something like that, where they were to be given potentially X number of Zenkais or X number of updates moving forward, that way it doesn't just end with one update. Like if this Piccolo were to receive a secondary EZA, he would become relevant once again, thankfully. But then after a couple of years, what if another Piccolo shows up that's even better than this one? Or just, you know, the game just gets to a certain point where this unit is irrelevant once again, he would have to receive another update. So we could then be like, okay, I'm going to use AGL Zenkai 2 Piccolo or AGL second degree EZA Piccolo, something like that. You know what I mean? So that would be, I think, another way to help kind of keep these guys relevant moving forward. This is also a great thing for players who aren't necessarily able to get all of the new units moving forward, right? Like if you can't pull the newest big bad Broly that shows up, at some point we're going to be getting a Dragon Ball Super Broly revisit, right? We're going to go back to this. This unit, he's actually still pretty good right now. But what if we get to a point where this unit is completely obsolete? What if he can then get another EZA during that celebration? Whereas if you're not able to pull that Broly during that banner, this guy's EZA would be comparable to it. Not obviously a replacement, but something close to it. So I think that there's no reason to not want this, in my humble opinion. But you know what? I want to hear from you guys. That's all I'm going to say on the matter, because this is all just, you know, speculative. All we were given were just some questions and a survey. We'll have to wait and see if they actually do something with this, because as you all know, the friend system has not been changed. And that is going to be the main argument probably against even thinking about this, getting your hopes up, because while they do some things, they haven't done everything. So it's possible this could also be one of those things that they maybe propose, and then after a couple of years, maybe they consider revisiting it. I don't know. But this was just something that I wanted to just discuss to kind of just reignite the conversation. I think it's a good thing to talk about in terms of like the future of Dokkan. What are some cool ideas that we might have? I think we can all agree this is a fantastic idea. Taking what works in Dokkan and amplifying it even more would only result in good things moving forward. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like down below. Let me know in the comments your honest feelings on a secondary EZA or a third EZA. Do you have a name in mind? What would you call that? Extreme 2 Awakening, second degree, second stage? What would you call that? And give me your top 3 choices for most needed secondary EZAs. So it would have to be among the units that have already been given EZAs. I'm going to give you my choices. Number 1, Broly, Super Saiyan 3. Number 2, AGL Piccolo. And number 3, Kid Buu. But the physical Kid. Well, actually, yeah, I'll just go with that. Kid Buu, whatever. So what are your picks for the most needed secondary EZAs? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, be sure to subscribe for more Dokkan content in the future and click the notification bell so that you'll let YouTube know I'm going to see more of my stuff. Do it. Thanks again. Stay tuned and remember to Dokkan responsibly.